Hey guys, Dan back with another Doomtown Reloaded video. Two things to go through this week. I've got my hands on the Organised Play Kit 3, the one with the Micah Rise mat, so we'll have a look at that first. I've also got my hands on a copy of No Turning Back, and we'll go through that with my usual card by card, giving you some ideas on combos and my thoughts on why I think it's good, and hopefully give you some ideas on what you can build for your deck. Quick public service announcement before we crack on. I've been forgetting to do these, and I really should try and remember. Tournament announcements. UK tournaments coming up. Next major event in the UK is in a week. It's next Saturday. It's Deputy event at Huddersfield, run by the guys at IQ Games. These guys are fantastic. They run amazing events. The prize support is always awesome. They even give away a prize for being the best dressed, which I think is fantastic because it means I get dressed like an idiot while I play games. So it's all good. That's in Huddersfield. Same day down in London, if you can't make it all the way up to the Midlands, there's an event at Leisure Games. Doomtown UK's very own Jimmy May is going to be running that one. Rumour has it he is in fact going to be drinking the night before, so he's probably going to be hungover, which means he's probably going to be one of the best players in the world that weekend. I'm not sure how that works, but he took down the Expo event while massively tired and headached out. So I would be worried if I was playing against him that weekend. Anyway, on with the cards. I'll get the OP kit and the No Turning Back pack, and we'll do those shortly. Stay there. Right then, we'll start with the playmat. So Micah Rice Experienced gets an outing as a playmat for us. A cracking piece of artwork by an artist whose name I'm going to pronounce wrong, and that's Ramon Poisser. He's the chap who's done Nicodemus, Meet the New Boss. Quite a lot of artwork in Doomtown is under his name. All really cool, and there's a very distinct style to it. You can certainly see when he's done something, and I like that. The fact you can look through cards and go, oh look, there's a bunch of stuff done by the same guy. It all looks really cool side by side as well, which is also very nice. So fourth ring get their mat. We've had Lane Healy last month for Morgan, and we had Wendy for the Law Dogs way back in the first kit. So we're just missing a Sloan mat at the moment. Hopefully we'll get that in the next kit. I can't see why we wouldn't. It seems to be going through a cycle of different gang tin, different outfit, playmat every single time. So hopefully the Sloan mat isn't too far away. I'm not sure what I quite fancy on there personally. Maybe yeah, probably Maria. That really awesome piece with the hex pistol that she's holding. I think that's pretty damn good. Definitely deserves to be on a mat. If you're listening, that's what we're looking for. All right, okay. Alternate art cards. So it's a standard OP kit this time, which means we just get the two cards. We get a deed and an action. Our deed is B&B Attorneys. It's the inside of the attorney's office. A little bit of flavour text there from Micaiah. So quite a cool look into the attorney's office there. And the other one, the one I'm most excited about out of the two, and the one that's the largest number of cards available, so you get them for coming a bit further down the table, is Unprepared. And you can't really argue by getting more Unprepared because they go in so many different decks. Really cool piece of art there. Poor unfortunate chap still zipping his trousers up going for a killing. Cool thing about this being, obviously, as a surprise card, you're really only limited now to pack in as many Unprepareds as those you can win. You don't have to go out and buy more core sets to get them, which is really cool. So that's the OP kit. I'm going to go and get the saddlebag. It's a chapter pack then. I'm going to get the saddlebag for No Turning Back, and we'll go through the cards. Some really cool cards. Most of them have already been spoiled. I know Joe over in the Gazette has already done a card-by-card analysis, but this is mine, and I'll go through with my usual complete disregard for script and just have a look at the cards and make stuff up as I go along. Okay, so this is the contents of the No Turning Back saddlebag. I've put it all out to have a quick once-over. I do this when I find interesting things about saddlebags I want to share with you before I go through the cards. So first one, we get yet another reprint of a errated card that has different wording, so fantastic news there. Also, a bit of a change to the pack setup this time. We only get one fourth ring dude and one Morgan dude. I would imagine space becoming a premium now by adding in miracles. It's very hard to keep them, the same kind of balance of putting in, always two of this, always two of that. And we're now seeing two more factions as well. Soon saddlebags are going to have to cover 6 different factions. So we're starting to see a bit of a change in how they're packed together. I would imagine that over the grand scheme of things, after an entire set of packs has been released, we'll have an equal number of dudes per faction released. So it's not a major issue. So I suspect the next pack we'll see maybe 2 fourth ring because they've had one this time. But who knows? We'll have a look when that one comes out. Next up, it's a very high value pack. Only 4 new cards with a value lower than 9, and that's these 2 actions up here. and an 8 in there as well, and an ace. Other than that, look at that, 6 9s, 4 jacks. Lots of love for the high values. I really like the fact we're getting a lot of high value support now. Jacks there getting some love, so Dead Man's Hand getting a look in now maybe. You've also got things like 3 factions getting a 9 value dude, 3 9 value goods. It's really good, really good that it's getting this kind of support. Anyway, I'm going to get the cards together. We'll start with the concealed weapons so we can go over the ruling change on there, which I'm sure you're aware of. We'll get that out of the way, and then I'll go through the pack as a whole. So let's move these out of the way. Concealed weapons is our reprint card. It is simply just a change, clarify the ruling that you can't bring dudes into play. Some people were trying to use it to drop in dudes because playing a dude is technically a shopping action. Yes, even Micah is surprised at this. Behave yourselves, people. Very good clarification. You can only attach goods and spells as shopping at any location as a shootout. I love the fact we're getting these replacement cards when they're updated. It's really cool, and AEG are doing really well by the players by getting them in there. They don't take up a card spot. You still get your 21 new cards. I think it's fantastic that we don't have to carry around a list of changed wordings on cards, and we just get a replacement. I think it's really cool, and hopefully we'll get lesser artists as we go on, but if we do get them, it's nice to know that we're covered and we'll have replacement cards. Let's get that out of the way and get on to what you're waiting for, which is the entirety of the pack. So we'll start with our 1/4 ring dude, and that's RV Klein. She's experienced. She is a 6 cost, 2 upkeep, 3 influence monster. She's awesome. The 6 cost is largely irrelevant unless you wanted to start her. You might do because her ability is really good. Experiencing her over her previous incarnation, she only costs 3 basic RV, so it's a really cheap way to get the experienced version into play by starting the other. They're harrowed as well, so you know they're not going to disappear off the table really quickly, so you can get them experienced quite nicely. Okay, so the action, Noon Boot. If she is at a deed in town, that's any deed, yours or your opponent's, choose any opposing dude with lower influence, and she's got 3, which is not a small number. Move them to Arvy's location. And I think the tie-in with the artwork here is really cool. You've got this ability that says, basically, get over here, and some Scorpion-esque, my snake's going to come and rip your face off artwork. Really cool. I like it. On to other stuff. Lordogs. Judge Harry Somerset gets himself experienced. Obviously, Hanging Lawrence is worth a lot of experience points, and he's gone up a level. He's also 3 influence, and he has a fantastic Noon ability. He's got a job which marks a wanted dude and discards them if it's successful, which is good by itself because it's targeted kill on the card at will. However, he also makes a 2-stud token. So not only does he start a job and go and beat on somebody, he brings in his 2-stud mate as well. Really cool. I love it. Absolutely nothing wrong with this card. Probably a little bit too expensive to start, but he is an 8. An 8's a good value for Lordogs. I can't see why you wouldn't put 1 in all your Lordog shooter decks. Absolutely fantastic blinding card for any wanted Lordog deck. On to the next card, Ebenezer Springfield. He's a new chap for Lordogs. He's blessed, giving some support there. And he has another fantastic ability. So the really cool thing about him to begin with is he's got no upkeep. Okay, he's got no influence, but he only costs 4, so he is quite a nice cheap starting guy if you want to take that 0 influence hit in starting posse. Honestly, I think it's worth it. His ability is amazing. So as a react, after another player's ability affects your dude, either at Ebenezer's location or adjacent one, add a bounty to any of their dudes who is not wanted. Potentially, Ebenezer is chucking out bounties all over the place. Rumours, Blood Curse, anything at all that affects your guys as an ability is absolutely fantastic. Here, have a bounty. Here, have a bounty. So you can get wanted on all your opposing guys really quickly. And that ties in very well, obviously, with Harry's new ability of targeting wanted guys and getting them off the table. Next up, we have our single Morgan guy. It's an experienced Orlando Bowman. It's all about the experienced dudes this time around. It's really cool. He is awesome. He's Mad Scientist 3. This is fantastic. It's always hard to build a gadget deck because you're going to have a couple of gadgets that you might miss by 1 using a Mad Scientist 2 guy, especially with the Gadgetorium if you're going to increase their difficulty. Mad Science 3 really helps out with that. He's easily startable with just the 1 upkeep. 2 influence is fantastic. And he's also got a cracking gadget support ability. So as a shootout action, you can boot a lander, you can unboot a gadget, which has to be in the shootout. You can't go unbooting stuff across town. You can use its abilities another time, so double up that flamethrower, boys. Loads of bullets, 2 extra casualties. Let's have some of that. If it's an experimental weapon, you can unboot a lander. And if it is an experimental gadget, you can unboot a lander. If it's a weapon, it provides even more bullets. And its dude becomes a stud. So, okay, yeah, flamethrower is awesome, but it already makes you a stud. But things like maybe holy wheel gun, you know, lower dude's bullets twice, makes it a stud, extra bullet. It's really, really cool. Obviously, unbooting a lander for an experimental was pretty cool because it means you can invent something else. But really, he's all about boosting the weapons, clearly shown with his insane lawnmower nerf cannon death ray machine or whatever the hell it is. It'd be really cool to see that on a card, by the way, Deebs, if you're listening. This, yeah, awesome. Right, on to Sloane. Anthea Pansafia. She is a really cheap, really simple, easily startable huckster. Again, loads of really cool guys in this set that, you know, you really want to start. You know, 3 cash, no upkeep, 1 influence. You know, she's a Lawrence there, basically. And she's a huckster. If you pull a club while making a huckster skill test for someone in her posse, including her, because she's in her own posse, add 3 to the skill check. Now that's really cool, because if you start adding in things like Maria or Jose or anybody that gets bonuses in shootouts to their huckster skill, then you can potentially pull some really, really high soul blasts here, which is pretty damn scary. I'm really, really, really interested to see people use her with some of the high shootout hucksters for Sloane. I think it's going to be a very dangerous deck running around with her, and should probably keep an eye out for that. The second Sloane guy, oh, I love this guy. It's so good and so funny, and just the daftness you can do with this. So, Harry Highbinder. He's expensive. He's 4 cash to play, so he's cheap to play, but he's 2 upkeep. So starting him to be able to abuse his ability is really difficult. But he has got 3 influence, so you are getting that for his cost, which for 4 cash up front to start with is pretty damn good. He can't attach weapons. He's got 0 bullets, so we don't really care about that. But his trait, while he's in the town square, if you've got more influence, and bear in mind he's got 3, so you probably have, then you control town square, because normally nobody controls town square. So this lets you do some really interesting stuff. So you can buy goods or spells in town square. And so huckster decks generally have got to send their big huckster home every now and again to get a spell if they haven't been using the general store, or they don't see their general store. So he gets around that. You can trade in the town square, which is also interesting. And one of the really cool things you can do is things like, what is the deed? The lets you, when you play a dude, you can put it into play at any location you control. So you can play dudes into town square, straight into town square. It's awesome. It saves you. It's the action saving, the action economy he saves you by being able to do stuff just in town square is so good, and definitely worth every ghost swap you would pay for him. He's so cool. I really like him. Some people don't. I can see why. You know, he's not fantastic in a shootout, and you are literally just sticking him in town square to take control of it. You need to have a deck built around and planned around dominating town square for the whole game, and it's not a bad play if you can build it right, especially with things like paralysis mark and lots of noon-based control hexes. That might be a good idea for him. Anyway, I've waxed on about him a little bit too much, I think, so I think he's absolutely awesome. Max Bain experienced. Poor Max. That fiction this week. Oh, poor Max. Obviously, he's not happy with Morgan and their demon cows, and he's been shown the door. Although, mind you, he kind of took the door himself, I suppose. He left of his own accord. He is actually really, really cool. If he's in the town square or a government deed, ranchers provide no control points. It's awesome. That alone is enough to warrant maybe packing 1 of if he's on value, just to worry about slide decks. Slides run a lot of ranchers, R&D Ranch, Blake Ranch, Circle M, Cattle Market. They're all worth 0 control points if he's a government deed or in the town square. And he's got a cracking ability as well. Play a dude with a value of 10 or higher at his location,
reducing their cost by 3. So he's a really good enabler for some high value guys. I'm hoping we're going to see more Daves, more Ivers, and more Lillians running around now. Although maybe not Lillians with Max's Pass with her, maybe. Who knows? And we have another drifter coming up, El Graggio. He is a Jack, which is pretty cool. So very nice for Deadmans. He matches really well with his weapon, which is also in this pack. We'll have a look at that in a bit. He's a nice cheap stud dude, can't argue with it. And you can boot a melee weapon attached to him to make him a stud and give him +2 bullets, which is really cool. Because if you've given him a weapon anyway, that weapon's probably got a bullet bonus. If he then gets sun in your eyes and turned into a zero bullet draw, you just boot his weapon to turn him back into a 2-bullet stud. He's really, really cool and really, really cheap. I like it. Really cool. Interestingly, he costs 3. So if you had Max at that location, since he's a Jack, he would be a 0-cost, easily replenishable stud guy to drop out into your posse and start tearing the place up. I really like him. It's interesting we've only had the one bit of fiction with him. He looks to be a really interesting character, and I want to know more about this dude. I think there's a thread somewhere, I think it's on Facebook, people wondering who it might be, as if it was like maybe one of the personalities or cards we've already got pretending to be El Graggio, which I think is really, really cool. And hopefully they'll expand on that story-wise and let us know who it is, if that's the case. Last drifter being Jacqueline Isham. I did the spoiler for this. There is a video for her already where I've gone through pretty much everything about her that's awesome, and that is everything. She is 0 upkeep, dirt cheap, king value, high grit dude who becomes a stud when she defends absolutely any shootout ever. I'd go so far as to say maybe she's almost an auto-include in most decks at the moment for that cost. Just one of her on king at that cost. There's really no reason not to use her. If you want to know more about her, please do check out the spoiler video. I do go on a bit more about how awesome she is. You'll have to bear with that though. So that's dudes. Let's get those out of the way. On to the deed section. Huntsman Society is our first deed. This is really cool. More support for 10 or higher value guys. So running this with Max is obviously a good idea. 10 or higher value guys get -1 upkeep. So you can play them for cheap with Max and pay lesser upkeep for them with this. It's really good. It's a pair of cards in the same pack that supports playing higher cost, higher upkeep, more powerful dudes. And I'm all in favour of that. I really, really cannot wait to start busting out Dave Montreal. It's something I've wanted to do from day one. His cost has been too prohibitive to get him on the table and reliably use him a lot, so I can't wait for that. Next up, Secured Stockyard is a Gadget Ranch. It's difficulty 7, so it easily pulls itself on a king. Really simple ability. It's just boot it to gain a Ghost Rock. It's also on value with the Cattle Feeder, which is controller boot, gain a Ghost Rock. So lots of cash gains there for a gadget-based deck. So I really, really like it. It's also a ranch, so it triggers things like Cattle Market. It's cool. It's dirt cheap. It costs you 1. It gets you 1. It's very efficient. It's, in essence, if you can maintain control of it, it's a 1-cost 2 production deed. And there's really nothing wrong with that. That's it for deeds, just a pair of them this time. On to goods next. We'll start with El Graggio's horse, who is a Laquema. Laquema is a mystical horse. Looks awesome. I really like the artwork on this. Really, really cool. It's a pretty interesting card, actually. It's expensive. It costs 4. But it does give you a lot of really cool stuff. Increases your value by 3, which immediately hopefully puts you out of shotgun range, makes it harder to soul blast. Some really cool things there. If the dude's got a melee weapon, they get another bullet. And we've already mentioned that melee weapons generally give you bullets anyway, so that's more bullets. You can't really argue with that. And really cool shootout ability. This dude joins your posse, moving if needed, and you can boot an opposing dude. So you can bring a guy in, boot a dude out, and it's just really, really good. Definitely worth its 4 cost. It's ace value, so it goes in a dead man's deck. You'll notice that actually that El Graggio is a jack, Laquema is an ace. So there's a deck there. I'm not sure how good it would be, but it's certainly something I'm interested to try out. Gadget coming up next. Got a Sinkhole gun, which is a pretty fearsome piece of kit. It's 2-cost gadget. It's experimental, which generally means there's a downside of putting a club, and there is. In a shootout, you pull. If it's a club, discard the dude holding the Sinkhole gun. Well, damn, that's painful. If it's not a club, you can discard an opposing dude with value less than or equal to this dude's bullets. So it's basically an almost shotgun, but better because it gives you +2 bullets. It's obviously a lot cheaper, easier to play, and the cost of not packing clubs or very few clubs, it's actually really, really good. I like it. Definitely worth taking a look at, especially if you're going to be on 9s. There are some really cool 9 support cards for gadgets. Sidekick next, Scoop Hound. We got this really early on in the spoiler season, and I think a lot of stuff's been said about it. It's a phenomenally strong ability. So to start with, it's a sidekick, so it can cover a casualty. Shootout Boot. Shootout players cannot bring dudes into either posse or send dudes home. No Wendy's, no pistol whips, no stakes, just rows. Unfortunately, no Laquemas, no mechanical horses, no Pintos. No, can mechanical horse, that stops you booting. So no Pintos. So yeah, it's really, really good. It basically says we're going to fight as we've decided. Here is our posse. This is what we're using. Interesting combination with things like rope and ride. Start a shootout, drag the guy out with a guy with a Scoop Hound. Nobody else can join in. Pretty good. I really like it. Ooh, also, no make a smart choice. Really good against slide. Make a smart choice being there. I don't want to get involved in a fight card. Awesome. Really, really good. I love it. Rapier, El Graggio Sword. It is also really good. I don't think there's actually anything in this pack I'm not massively a fan of. So much stuff I really want to try. So it's a +2 bullet melee weapon. Dude with it gets +1 value. Unfortunately, it is a melee weapon, which means if there's an unbooted non-melee weapon in the opposing posse, you get no bullets with it. But for 1 cost, and that synergy with El Graggio and his horse, really, you can't go wrong. Last goods in this pack is another gadget. It's a Vitality Tonic. It's another experimental. It's really cool. The dude who's got it gains the Abomination keyword. It's got to react when they're aced in a shootout. You can discard them instead, which is pretty cool. I maintain there's really not much difference in a discarded dude and an ace dude, unless maybe it's a Stephen Wiles, because by the time your deck goes round, there's no guarantee you're going to draw him. So it's not a bad ability, but it's not fantastic or something you definitely want to put in your deck as an obvious must-have this card. However, its repeat noon action is actually really good. It's repeat noon action. You can pay 2 cash and unboot the guy it's attached to. That's it. Pay 2 cash, unboot a dude. As long as you don't pull a club. If you pull a club, discard the guy. But that thing there, that unboot over and over, potentially could win you a lot of games. It also gives the guy the Abomination keyword. So you could interestingly maybe play Clown Carriage in some kind of gadget horse deck out of Morgan. Bit clunky, bit cute. Might actually work. Worth having a look at. And the cool thing about this is this little bit of flavor text down the bottom. Perfection by Dr. Dawn Edwards. Yes, we know what happened to you, Dawn. Let's move on. We have a miracle, which is Consecration. Pulls itself, which is always good on spells. Any spell you can put in your deck that's guaranteed to pull itself means it's less of an issue trying to make room for it. One of your dudes gets +2 bullets and +2 influence and becomes a stud until after sundown. If there's a shootout, casualties are reduced by 3. So it's the Miracle Fetch, effectively. It's cheating resolution to lower your casualties by 3. And if you then continue throughout the shootout, or any more shootouts the rest of the turn, you get more bullets, you get more influence, and you're a stud. I really like it, and I think this and Shield of Faith would be my first 2 miracles if I started building a Blessed deck. We have a Hex, which is a Mark of Pestilence. Really, really cool. Again, pulls itself. Awesome. We love this. It's great. Boot all other unbooted dudes. Bear in mind, this is in the shootout, because you can only affect cards in the shootout unless you are bringing somebody in. Okay. Well, boots everybody else. So, what does it hit? Can't use Wendy's ability. Can't use Pistol Whip. Can't use... Wow, anything that says boot to do something, really. Yeah, really good. And it's 0 cost, which is also really, really nice. I don't think it's going to be a key card in a lot of decks, but it is going to be helpful if you fear a lot of things that are going to have like boot to do stuff effects in shootouts. Really, really cool. And I'm excited to see what people are going to do with it. Right then. Clocking up trouble. More fiction stuff that we've seen. So, there he is, old Jonah Hessex with his Tumblebleeds. Not entirely sure what he's up to with them, but apparently it's almost time, so we should find out soon. And it's a really good card. Look at another player's hand. For 1 cash, look at their hand. I like it. Hand knowledge is amazingly strong in any card game, and if you can see what your opponent's got and what he's going to do, you can avoid it. And then, if they've cheated this turn, you can choose an action, a goods, or a spell and get rid of it, as long as it's not a cheating ability. So you can't stop them playing cheating reses on you, which is fair. It'd be a bit too good if you could do that. But yeah, I mean, just for the hand knowledge alone, if you're on 4s, it's pretty good. I mean, up until now, your 4 options have been pretty much Ambush or Swinford finds trouble. If you haven't got a big enough posse to use Swinford, Ambush is a bit cash intensive if you're not playing a heavy economy deck. It's worth having on value just to have a look at their hand. I like it. Old-fashioned hanging. God, this card is basically some really awesome jobs in this pack with Harry in this. So, noon job, mark a wanted dude with at least 2 bounty. So basically, hi Desro, you're dead. Any dude with 2 bounty, if successful, ace the mark. Also, your leader gets a control point. So, let them run the Desolation Row job. Go on, let them have their cash. Have 2 bounty. Now I'm going to kill you. Pretty much. A little bit annoying that it's on a 5. It's obviously on 5 to make sure you can't run in and pistol whip them out so you automatically succeed. I'll save that nonsense for kidnapping. Love me some pistol whip kidnap action. But it's so good. And this, you've got Ebenezer earlier in the pack for getting bounty out. We had Andrew Burton last pack for getting bounty out. You've got the outfit ability for getting bounty out. So many ways of chucking bounty out these days. It's really good to have a nice strong card to be able to punish people for having too much. And I say especially against Desolation Row, where they're going to get 2 bounty whenever they run the job. And this should hopefully rein in the Desolation Row rampage has been going through tournaments at the moment. I'm eagerly awaiting the results of this weekend and next weekend from the Sheriff season to see how that's worked out for people. And the last card in the set, a bit of an ominous portent for the Law Dogs, I think. No turning back. We'll start with the flavor text. I'll burn them all for this, Sloan. Obviously, having watched Lawrence get hanged, arriving just too late to save him, as shown in the artwork there. Sloan is pissed, and probably rightly so. So hopefully some really angry Sloan on Law Dog action coming there. If you didn't see the news this morning, Gen Con has a Marshall level event where there is you get to kill some guys or make some guys survive vote, hopefully tied into this. There's actually some bonuses. If you're playing Sloan versus Law Dogs or Morgan versus Fourth Ring, you actually get an extra vote to kill or save people. So that's really exciting. I love this card just for the flavour alone. Sloan obviously gearing up for a massive fight, and I love that. On to the card itself. As a noon action, you can ace a dude that you control to gain cash equal to their cost. Interesting. I suppose you could combo it with things like Raising Hell and Summoning, bringing in some cheap-ass abominations, killing them to get their money, and then obviously playing other stuff, so that's quite cool. You also have a really cool resolution on this. So, ace a dude you own and control to reduce your casualties to 0. So if you just got your ass handed to you in a shootout, this is a really good card for saving guys. Unfortunately, you do then have to kind of commit to playing until you're dead. You choose a guy to get +2 bullets and become a stud. And it's really cool it's a resolution, because most people gank all their shootout actions in the first round. So you're probably fairly reliably going to get a stud guy with 2 bullets out of this. Downside being, you can't flee. You are then stuck in that shootout until you are dead, they are dead, or they go home. I really like it. Thematically, it's really cool. It fits in with Sloan's state of mind, having seen Lawrence hang. She's coming in force for the Law Dogs, and it works really well as a card. I'm desperately trying to get this into as many decks as possible at the moment, just for that 2 bullet stud after a round of a shootout, because people throw their actions out so fast. And I imagine some other people have seen some synergy they like as well. I say there's probably a really cool action deck with the noon action and Raising Hell and Summoning. I'm going to have a look at that as well. Okay, that's the entirety of the pack. That's the No Turning Back saddlebag. I don't think I've got anything coming up in the next couple of weeks planned video-wise. I can probably do a deck build, I think. I might do a Morgan horse deck, maybe. Have a look at that. I did Morgan last time. I'll have a look. I'll come up with something and maybe get a deck build up over the next couple of weeks. But until then, that was the saddlebag. We have a Sheriff season in full swing. The results are going to be coming in from those fairly regularly, so keep an eye on that. I'm interested to see what the meta is going to do, especially because this has come out right near the beginning of it, and we'll hopefully see some interesting deck swings and different people winning and losing. Other than that, have fun. Anything you want to ask or any comments you want to make, please feel free in the comment section below. As always, this will be on the Gazette forums with its own topic. If you want to discuss anything in there or ask any questions, please feel free to do so. Until next time, have fun.